Hello everyone, welcome to my new channel, Mained Candid, where I'll be discussing things that I find interesting, or more likely, infuriating. Today I wanted to go through a few BBC articles that I found recently that have put me in a pretty poor mood, and have convinced me it's time to voice my opinions and start some open and intelligent discussions. We have 4 articles to go through today, so let's get started. I'm going to use this first article as an example of the kind of small things that have started to irritate me as of late. Our first article is titled, "Women Work 39 Days a Year More Than Men," report says. According to this article, women work on average 50 minutes more than men every single day. When I first read this, I was actually quite surprised. I mean, not only do women work for less, but they're also willing to work for almost 1 hour more every day. Unfortunately, this is a slightly misleading narrative, which is why this article made me sigh. As you can see, it clearly states that these figures include unpaid work. And in fact, the article outright admits that men do 34% more paid work than women. Now, before we go on, let's take a second to stop and just reread the article's title. "Women work 39 days a year more than men," report says. You see, to me, work sort of stands for paid work. And when someone says they have work tomorrow, they don't say they have paid work tomorrow, they just say work. If someone told me they were going to work, I don't personally think, oh, they're probably talking about working to clean their house. Looking into the data behind this, it seems very reasonable. They claim that men have a higher employment rate and are more likely to work in full-time jobs. So then, why bother explaining that women do more unpaid work? Of course they do. They spend more time at home and less time at work because they work part-time and, actually on average, are less likely to have a paid job. Oh hey look, it's the wage gap myth. Now, I'm not going to bother going into any real depth on this. I mean, hundreds of other people already have. But I checked their data just to be sure, and sure enough, they don't compare like-to-like job wages, they just compare earnings. I mean, if you're going to compare earnings, of course men are going to earn more on average. They work full-time jobs compared to part-time jobs. They make up a larger percentage of the workforce, and they enter fields that pay more. I mean, even the report sort of acknowledges this by saying, women are also significantly underrepresented in decision-making positions, such as legislators, senior officials, and managers, but are overrepresented as domestic workers, positions that are characterized by low pay, long hours, and a lack of social protection. Okay, I'm just going to take a second to stop and say this was way more fun than I thought it would be. It's also a surprisingly more lengthy process than I'd first envisioned. Anyway, that's one article down, so on to the next article. Our next article is titled, "Sexual Harassment of Female MPs Widespread," report says. I mean, this is just going to be a fun, completely non-controversial topic. First of all, this was a survey in which there were only 55 participants. Worldwide. Yeah, not even just in the UK, but worldwide. That's basically a quarter of the female MPs in the UK, let alone the entire world. According to this, over 80% of the respondents said they had experienced some form of psychological or sexual harassment or violence. Now, that's impressive, but again, it's the title that's going to irritate me this time around. Again, the title is "Sexual Harassment of Female MPs Widespread," report says. Some people will just quickly click the link, see 80%, and associate it with the percent of MPs claiming sexual harassment. But let's dive into the data, shall we? This all comes from the IPU's Sexism, Harassment and Violence Against Women Parliamentarians publication. The first thing to note is that this survey was done on a voluntary basis. As always, these kinds of surveys suffer biases where people who want to report something that's happened to them are more likely to respond to them. Even so, let's just ignore this and have a look at the actual data. Now, a lot of this data is actually pretty shocking, to be honest. I'm not going to play it down, and if you read the report yourself, there's some pretty nasty stuff in there. But the issue I have is that only about 22% of the respondents actually reported suffering sexual violence, not 80%. Now, I know 82% said they had suffered psychological violence, and that's the number the BBC article is likely referencing. Then again, it seems they've bundled online harassment, or as they like to say, cyber violence, in with this. But, you see, the title hints at the idea that the sexual violence number is massively larger than it actually is. Although 22% is still an excessively high number. I know I really didn't have much to say about this article, but it's just me being nitpicky. If we let this kind of manipulation of facts to push an agenda go unnoticed, we might get some real issues later on down the line. I mean, if you just look at the wage gap myth, or the 1 in 5 myth, or any other myth that has been blown way out of proportion because it wasn't addressed quickly and correctly, you'll kind of get what I mean. So next, we're going to look at an article called "I Needed Counselling, Not the Police," says one student. And again, this one is possibly going to get a little controversial. This article is about a woman who tried to take up a sexual assault complaint at her university, who then told her to refer the matter to the police. You see, here's the thing that annoys me about this article. It clearly states that the guy was taken to court and was acquitted. So in the eyes of the law, this didn't happen. And yet, she seems to think that this doesn't matter, that he should have been moved out of his halls, which, by the way, can be a right pain in the ass to get into in the first place in some universities, and that she should have been informed if the guy was still studying at the university. Now, I'm not trying to say that this event didn't take place, but what I am saying is that this accusation went through the appropriate legal steps and the guy was acquitted. So from a legal perspective, why would the university have to do anything? The article briefly mentions new guidelines, but I couldn't find any concrete guidelines being laid out by anyone in particular. The only thing I did find was a mention that the NUS is designing new ones. I mean, this can only go well. We really want systems like that in a surprisingly large amount of American universities where an allegation is basically as good as a conviction to some people. And now, everyone's favourite topic, Donald Trump. Now here's the thing, I don't actually mind Trump. I think he's got some things wrong, I think he's got some things right, but I don't necessarily believe that he's an awful person. The thing is though is that he is pissing off the media something special. Allow me to give you a very simple and concise example. In this article, entitled US Election, Trump thanks Gingrich for amazing Kelly interview, or as it was actually originally called, US Election, Newt Gingrich accuses Megyn Kelly of being fascinated by sex. I mean, that was a great title to begin with. There is a blatant lie. The article reads, but it was the mention of the leaked sex boasts tapes in which the presidential nominee is heard to say he grabbed women by the genitals, which angered Mr. Gingrich on the Kelly file on Tuesday. This is a complete fabrication of the truth. Here is what Donald Trump said. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. Now, I'm sorry to say, BBC, he didn't say, you can do anything, I mean, I've grabbed them by the pussy before. He just made a stupid, jokey comment, as men often do, and in no way did he admit to grabbing women by the genitals, like you're inferring. I am sick and tired of this lazy bullshit reporting. I'm fed up. I believe it's time for those of us that are normally the silent, patient type to stand up and say what we believe. We need to show the world that we won't stand for the blatant lies or misinformation that the media is trying to push on us. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any articles or reports you'd like me to do a video on, just leave them in the comments. I'll try to improve my videos as I go on, and I hope this was at least a little bit entertaining for you. Also, if anyone wants to have a go at sending me a drawn version of a maned wolf that I can use in my later videos, that'd be really great. I'd really like something unique to help improve the look of my channel. Anyway, thank you for your time everyone, and I hope to see you in the next video.